guys, it's Ryan. Welcome back to another What's for Dinner. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ryan. I am a full-time working mom. I have an 8-month-old son, and my husband and I live in the suburbs of Chicago. I love spending time in the kitchen. In these videos, you'll see me cooking and just sort of generally living the life of a working mom who loves to be a hobby cook. In tonight's What's for Dinner, or this week's What's for Dinner rather, I'm going to be showing you 3 recipes out of this Eating Well magazine. It is the October of 2020 issue. We're going to be making an apple cider chicken recipe, a chicken sausage with quick kraut, as well as a potato and chorizo empanada recipe. Up tonight is the potato and chorizo empanada, so let me go ahead and show you the magazine, the recipe, the ingredients that you're going to need, as well as the substitutions I'm going to be making because there are quite a few of them tonight. All right, let's get started. Okay, so here is the Eating Well October 2020 magazine, as well as the chorizo and potato empanada recipe we're going to be cooking out of tonight. All right, for this recipe, you are going to need chorizo. Why, Ryan, you might say, that's not chorizo. Why, no, it's not. I went to 3 stores looking for it, couldn't find it. I actually also looked for, I know they make like a veggie substitute chorizo that I've used before, couldn't find that either. So we have ground turkey, and I've read a bunch of things online that said you can sort of make a fake chorizo flavor profile. I read about 15 different ones, all said different things, but common ingredients were paprika, chili powder, not cayenne, I don't know why I have that here, paprika, chili powder, and apple cider vinegar. So we're gonna try to make a fake chorizo here. And then you're also gonna need yellow potatoes, tomatoes, scallions, and garlic. You also need white onion. Do I have white onion? No. You will need canola oil. Do I have canola oil? No. We have vegetable oil. You will need red wine vinegar. Do we have red wine vinegar? No. We have white wine vinegar. You will need your pie crusts to make the actual empanadas, as well as salt, and the recipe calls for fresh cilantro. I'm going dried cilantro. It's what I have. It's more economical. I'm clearly not a fan, or not scared of making substitutions, as you can see by the massive amounts of substitutions on this one. You know, I'm not afraid to substitute things in recipes, but I have to say this is more than I typically would. I feel like if you stray too far, then are you really getting a good read on the recipe? I don't know. This is probably borderline for me. So anyway, let's go ahead and get cooking. All right, as always, I will have the recipes linked down below, as well as a link to Eating Well magazine if you guys want to check that out yourselves. To get started on this one, I went ahead and browned my ground turkey. You'll see later that I add the seasonings to make this into like a fake chorizo. This is a little bit of a departure from the regular recipe. You wouldn't start this way, but I wanted to treat this sort of fake chorizo separately, which is why I did it this way. Next, you're going to go ahead and peel and dice your 2 yellow potatoes. You're then going to want to add 1/4 cup of water to a skillet with your potatoes. You're then going to cover them and cook them for 3 to 4 minutes until the water has evaporated and the potatoes have started to soften. You're then going to want to get started on the rest of your vegetables. I went ahead and diced up 1/2 cup of sliced onions, as well as half of a cup of diced tomatoes. As you can see here, I used both a vine-ripe tomato as well as some cherry tomatoes. I also got 1 clove of garlic chopped up. You're then going to add those vegetables to a skillet, and then the recipe says to add 1/4 cup of finely chopped fresh cilantro. As you guys heard, I was using dried cilantro to this mixture. Go ahead and then get that all stirred up. All right, the next thing we're going to tackle is flavoring the fake chorizo. I added some apple cider vinegar, paprika, and chili powder to this mixture, and then stirred it up until everything was all combined and the meat was well seasoned. You then want to add your meat mixture in with the vegetables. You're then going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of vinegar, as well as 3/4 teaspoons of salt to this mixture. Again, then stir everything to combine. You're then going to get started on your pastry crust. Now here is where things went a little bit south for me.
The idea is to cut these pastry crusts into 8 5-inch circles and then roll them out so they're 6-inch circles, so roll them just a little bit. Then you're going to place about a 1/4 cup of filling into each of the circles, fold them in half, and then crimp the edges. Now, as you see, these were too small and there was no way a 1/4 cup of the filling was going to fit in, so I went ahead and moved on to a larger circle. Well, this one was then too big, so I felt like I was a little bit like Goldilocks. I never quite got the right fit for these. You'll see I then just free-handed these and guessed at what a 5-inch circle was. If I had this to do again, I probably would actually grab a measuring tape of some kind to just get a better feel on what 5 inches was. I think these last ones were probably pretty close. But as you can see here, these were all over the place in terms of size. But again, they turned out that they tasted pretty good. So ignore that they look completely wonky and instead focus on the fact that I'm telling you they tasted good and you may want to try this recipe. You're going to cook these in a 400-degree oven for 20 minutes, flipping halfway through until they're golden brown. Now again, the taste on this one was pretty good. Presentation gets like an F-, but taste was decent. So I definitely would recommend you try at least some sort of empanada recipe, and this one was decent, so perhaps use it as a base.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What's for Dinner. As you know, this week we are cooking out of the Eating Well magazine. Tonight we are going to be making an apple cider chicken dish, and alongside that I'm going to serve some frozen twice-baked potatoes as well as some asparagus. Let me go ahead and show you guys the recipe, the magazine, as well as the ingredients you're going to need to make this one. As you know, we are cooking this week out of this Eating Well magazine, and here is the recipe. Okay, to make this one, you are going to need, obviously, you're going to need chicken. For the sauce that's going to go on it, you're going to need apple cider, chicken broth, some light sour cream, some parsley, and then the recipe actually calls for dried thyme. I happen to have fresh, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. You're going to add some apples in with the sauce. These are Granny Smith. I think that's what the recipe actually calls for, as well as some shallots. And then alongside that, I'm going to try these twice-baked potatoes. I've actually never had these before, but they looked good at the store the other day, as well as some roasted asparagus. So let's go ahead and start turning this into apple cider chicken.
All right, the first thing I did for this dinner was prep my asparagus. I started by washing it up. I then pushed both ends towards the center, and where it cracked is where I ended up cutting off the woody, inedible part of the asparagus. I then got these spread out in a single layer on my cookie sheet and hit them with some seasoning. I then went ahead and put those pre-packaged twice-baked potatoes on the sheet and got those all into the oven. The next thing I got started on was prepping the chicken. I like to cut these chicken breasts in half lengthwise so that they're thinner. I just find they cook better that way, and that's how we prefer them in my household. So I started by cutting the chicken breasts in half. I then washed my hands and hit them with salt and pepper on both sides. I then went ahead and got 1 tablespoon of oil into a skillet, put that over medium-high heat, and then added the chicken. You're going to cook the chicken until it's brown, flipping once, about 3 minutes per side. While that was cooking, I went ahead and peeled up 2 medium Granny Smith apples and then thickly sliced these apples. I then finely chopped 1 shallot, as well as 1 teaspoon of dried thyme leaves. I also went ahead and chopped up some fresh parsley, which you will use as a garnish on top. As long as I was chopping, I wanted to get that ready for later. I then went ahead and pulled the brown chicken off onto a plate, and you're going to get started on your apples and sauce. You want to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil to the pan. You're then going to go ahead and get your apples, your shallots, and your thyme into the pan and cook, stirring until the apples are softened, about 2 to 3 minutes. Once the apples are softened, you're going to add 1/2 cup of apple cider and then 1/2 cup of unsalted chicken broth. You're then going to want to slide your chicken back into the pan with any juices that had accumulated, flip them over so they get coated in the sauce, And continue cooking this chicken until it is cooked all the way through. This should take about 3 to 4 additional minutes. And of course, if you want to use a meat thermometer, it'll be until it registers 165 degrees. After you're done with that, you're going to take the chicken out of the sauce again. Yes, again, I think this is the second time. And add 1 tablespoon of reduced fat sour cream to the sauce. You're then going to want to stir this all up and add 1/4 teaspoon each of salt and pepper. You're then going to want to serve this by taking your chicken out and serving a spoonful of sauce with the apples over the chicken. As you guys know, I served this alongside the asparagus and twice baked potatoes. We actually really ended up liking this recipe. I think it was a hit for both my husband and I, which is always kind of difficult to find. So I would definitely recommend that you guys make this if you're looking for a fun fall-inspired dish.
Hey guys, welcome back to another portion of this week's What's for Dinner video. Tonight, as you know, we are cooking out of an Eating Well magazine. Tonight we're going to be making a chicken sausage and slaw recipe. It looks super simple. It looks like I can get this on the table in 20-30 minutes, which is always a win for me. So let me go ahead and show you the recipe and what you're going to need for this one. Alright, so here is the Eating Well magazine. As you guys know, we're cooking out of this week. And here is the recipe for chicken sausage with a quick sauerkraut. So here are the chicken sausages that I'm going to use. I've never tried this Gilbert's brand, but these looked good, so hopefully they'll be good. This flavor profile, the basil, mozzarella, and sun-dried tomatoes, doesn't work particularly well with this dish, but there are other flavors they had of these chicken sausages I didn't think my husband was going to like, so I tried to pick one I thought he was going to like, and this was the winner, so it is what it is. Alright, and then for the rest of the recipe, this is what you're going to need. You will need some shredded cabbage as well as shredded carrots. It does look like there are some shredded carrots in this pre-shredded cabbage mixture, but not a ton, which is why I grabbed one of my own carrots as well as some onion and some Granny Smith apple. Fun fact, these carrots and onions are actually grown in a community garden that my mom participates in northern Wisconsin. So they're organic, homegrown, which is kind of cool. You also will need some apple cider vinegar as well as just some regular apple cider. And then the standard olive oil as well as salt. And then you will actually also need some caraway seeds. I don't know that I've ever cooked with caraway seeds. I had to buy this for this recipe. And I'm kind of excited to. I think it could be interesting. So I'll let you guys know what I think of that afterwards. To go along with this, the chicken sausage and quick sauerkraut, I'm actually going to make one of these boxes of scalloped potatoes. These are usually on offer at Woodman's Market, and they're like ridiculously cheap, something like 80 or 90 cents. And I think they actually make a great side. So I will go ahead and make these up alongside this dish, and I will show you the cooking as well as the finished product.
Okay, to get started with this dinner, I'm making these Idahoan scalloped potatoes. Just make these according to the packet directions, which consists of putting the potatoes and seasoning in a bowl, adding milk, and then boiling water, as well as a tablespoon, I believe, of butter, and then mixing the whole thing together until everything is combined. You then go ahead and get that into an oven for 25 minutes. The soundtrack for dinner tonight was Ingrid Andress. Anyone know how to pronounce that correctly? Ladylike album. I have been absolutely adoring this album. Are you guys listening to it? Let me know. Alright, after those got into the oven, I started by prepping my vegetables. As you guys can see, I peeled and then grated the carrot. I then went ahead and chopped up the small onion, as well as peeled and chopped the Granny Smith apple into thin slices. Once I had the veggies prepared, I went ahead and added 1 tablespoon of oil to a large skillet and put that over medium-high heat. I then went ahead and added the chicken sausages and cooked them for 2 to 3 minutes per side or until they were browned. I then pulled them out and put them on a plate. You then want to add 1 tablespoon of oil back into that same pan, add your onion and apples, and cook them, stirring constantly until they start to brown for a minute or 2. You're then going to go ahead and add your cabbage and carrot, as well as vinegar and salt, and cook them, stirring often until they're just about wilted, which should take about 2 minutes. You then want to go ahead and add 1 cup of apple cider, as well as 1 teaspoon of caraway seeds to this mixture. You're going to then bring the whole mixture to a boil. You're then going to return the sausages to the pan and reduce the heat. You'll then put a cover on and simmer it until the sausage is heated through and the cabbage is tender. At this point, the potatoes were done, so I went ahead and pulled them out of the oven. I served the chicken sausages along with the quick sauerkraut and potatoes for dinner. Overall, I actually loved this dinner, and my husband really liked it too. We don't eat chicken sausages often, so it was fun to eat them and have a nice fall-ish side to go along with them. Alright guys, that's it for this What's for Dinner video. I hope you got some inspiration for your cooking. I'm back with a new What's for Dinner every Wednesday, so go ahead and subscribe and like this video, and you'll see some more from me on this topic.